Welcome to the Credit Bank Small Business Spotlight, where we spotlight inspiring business owners. We learn their stories and share what drives their success. This episode is sponsored by Credit Bank, powered by Shield Advisory Group. Today, I am joined by Kait Hardiman. She is the founder of Front Porch Social. Kait, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Kait, I want to start from the very beginning. Take me back to what was going on before you started Front Porch Social and what motivated you to start that particular business.
Ooh, okay. So before, I have a background in fashion design.
Okay.
Weirdly, that's my degree's in fashion design, and then I started working in the fashion industry in New York City after college, and I did a couple different things, some PR, design, and then what I landed in production, which is essentially creating a strategy for how you're going to create all the designs and then executing it. So that weirdly is the biggest background setup I feel for what I actually do.
Okay.
Well, then from that, I ended up moving into marketing and advertising. And then 2020 came around, and we all know what happened then. We were all working from home.
Right.
I was actually pregnant with my first child, and I just decided that I wanted to do something different. And I'd always been really passionate about social media. It just very much interested me. I loved telling stories, creating beautiful things, creating content. And so I decided to kind of start doing that as a side hustle. And then after I returned to my workplace, it was not a great environment anymore. And it spurred me to just make the change and just go out on my own. And I realized that my passion is not only in creating beautiful things, but also creating strategies, which is where it goes back to the fashion production.
Right.
I'm creating a strategy to make something bigger and beautiful and then executing it and being able to tell other people how to execute that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that's how it started.
Oh, great. And you know, most businesses, they're built to either address a problem or a need. What problem does your business solve, and who do you help the most?
So we really focus on women and mother-owned businesses, not exclusively, but it is kind of a focus because it's obviously like near and dear to my heart. But the problem that we really solve for people is taking social media and marketing off of their plate. So many small business owners at least they start trying to do it on their own.
Right.
They're like, I can do a post, like, and then they realize how much time and effort goes into creating something good, creating something thoughtful. And then besides just throwing a post on Instagram or Facebook, then you also need to reply to comments, answer your DMs, like go do outreach, find your audience and interact with them. And people get overwhelmed. I created a whole business out of it. It's a job.
Right.
So my goal with Front Porch Social has always been to take that off of people's plates. Let them focus on their business and what they want to do, and let us do the social media.
That's great. And how long have you been doing this? How long has Front Porch? I keep having a problem getting the words front porch and putting them together. How long has Front Porch Social? I just said porch. Jesus Christ. How long have you been in business?
I think I should know the answer to that off the top of my head. I guess technically 4 years.
Okay.
But I've been doing it longer. So.
Okay. So what's been your absolute proudest moment or greatest achievement thus far?
Lots of little proud moments. I think that the greatest achievement, as I think any social media manager will agree, is when your client really trusts you enough to fully just give you the social media or the email marketing or
Right.
the event planning or whatever part of the marketing you're doing, And because it's hard, especially for small businesses, it's really hard for them to fully unload that
Right.
because it's personal to them. And when they do, and then you run with it, and they come to you and they say like, "Oh my God, I feel incredible. I have not had to think about it, and I went and checked on it, and it's just running smoothly."
Yeah, and when
And
you see the
people
joy,
say, "Yeah,
I'm sorry, when you see the joy on their faces and they're like, wow, I could never have done that myself. And you see the elation in their face and you hear the elation in their voice. That's got to be what fuels you to
yeah." And when
put
they
out even
say like,
more.
"Oh, other people have been asking me like, oh, what'd you change? Your social media looks so nice." I'm like, "It's me."
Yeah, I used Kate. That's
Yeah.
what I did. Let me
So
turn you on to her.
that's the proudest, I think, is when you know you're doing a good job because other people are telling you that.
Right, right, and that's the driver. That's the driving force right there,
Yeah,
and then you find yourself, I'm sure, uh, finding ways to do it even better and more efficiently to get more of those
always.
smiles coming into your world and
Yes.
giving you that sense of fulfillment. What does
Yes,
that feel
definitely.
like to you?
Yeah, every time I can successfully create a new system, that's that's the type A in me that gets so happy. Like
Right,
when I finally like set up something and it runs smoothly, that's the best.
that's great. And people, even aspiring business owners that haven't gotten started yet, they want to know everything about getting it started. Uh, you know, some of the challenges and what's been some of the biggest challenges or hurdles that you faced, and more importantly, how did you overcome it?
Well, I do feel lucky that there weren't a ton of challenges I faced in the beginning, just as far as, it's not the type of business I'm running is not like a restaurant where like upfront, I got to buy a place, I got to
Right.
have employees on the payroll. Um, so in that way, I didn't have those big hurdles that a lot of businesses face. But I think the challenges really were more internal for me, like getting rid of my imposter syndrome and realizing that I do know what I'm doing. I am in charge. I am the person that can solve this problem. I think those were the biggest hurdles for me. I don't know if maybe that would speak to a lot of younger people. I'm not that young anymore, but
Never
getting over
mind.
the imposter syndrome, I think, was the biggest hurdle for me, and I do think that's a lot of business owners that have that.
Well, that's certainly what you described as an A-type personality. It's definitely like a take charge. Hey, I can do this. No challenge is too big for me, right?
Well, other people don't see that side of me as much because I do. Like, if someone's like, "Oh, can you do this?" Yep, I can do that. I'll figure it out. But then, inside, I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, am I the
Yeah,
right person
but
to
you
do it?"
accept the challenge on the spot, though. You accept it,
Yeah,
and
I mean, I can do anything really. So,
especially as they say, if you put your mind to it.
and that's kind of how I go about learning new things is, yeah, I can do that. Why not?
Yeah, no challenge too tall for Kate. That's awesome. That is
I
awesome.
actually just did my own website and I kept thinking to myself, I should just hire someone to do this, someone who does this all the time. But then
Right.
I kept telling myself, I can do this. Why would I not be able to do this? And I did it. So,
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's kind of like me in other situations. Like I'm not a mechanic, okay, but if I have something that needs to be done in the car, I'm like, why take it to them? There's YouTube. I can learn it, and I pick
I
things up, and I take
recently
that challenge on myself. And when I see that I got it done, I'm like, okay, this is
So
me.
I recently decided to put in new outlets in my house, like the whole like turn the power off, unscrew it, take the whole thing out of the wall, reattach the wires.
Wow.
Because I was like, I could do that, and I did. So
Yeah.
that's how I approach life, I guess.
Yeah. And do you? I mean, even like me, do you kind of look away and go, man, I can do anything?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's that's such
I
a
do.
good feeling. So getting back to the business, I know when a business is starting off, it requires some capital, and it can be tough to secure some financing when you're first starting out. How did you manage that early on?
again, I feel like I was a little lucky here and a little privileged in that I was making really good money before. I didn't have kids yet.
Okay.
I didn't have a mortgage at the time. I didn't even have a car because I lived in New York City. Um, so I had a lot of money saved that was there to help me. And I didn't have a lot of overhead. You know, I didn't have to buy an office. I didn't have people on my payroll when I
Okay.
started. I intentionally started smaller in a way that the business could grow organically, and then I could bring on new expenses and new hires as I needed. So I guess the piece of advice for that would be to start at a manageable spot, and then you can grow organically.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm sure business owners, or aspiring business owners would like to hear, that it's not impossible. Just tap into the resources that you have available at the moment and then just kind of run from there.
Yeah, yeah. And I did have some money saved to help me on this journey, so
Right.
that was lucky and that was a privilege not everyone has. But uh, you can save. You can start saving.
Right. Yeah. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. So where do you see your business, say in the next year or two? Any exciting growth plans that you have in mind?
Well, I hope that we continue growing. I hope that I can bring on more team members. And I do have some kind of exciting ideas that are starting to take form, with more like events and community building.
Okay.
So I'm hoping those things in a year or two from now are flourishing.
And if you had the perfect resources of support in place and everything you need to support that growth, what's like the first thing you would change? Like, what would you change for your business tomorrow?
In a perfect world with everything, I'd probably hire an assistant, like just one person dedicated
Take that load
to
off.
taking things off of my plate. Um, that's probably what I should do, anyways. But
Awesome. Well, Kait, it's been great learning about Front Porch Social and how you're making a difference in your community. For those that want to connect with you, how would they find you?
you can find me on. Well, you can go look at the website that I just built, frontporch-social.com.
Okay.
But you can also find us on Instagram, frontporch_social.com, TikTok for as long as that's with us, LinkedIn, Pinterest, but who's going to find me there? We're everywhere.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us today. And for our listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to tune in and subscribe for more inspiring spotlights. Until then, I'm your host, Irv Cruz, and we'll see you on the next Credit Bank Small Business Spotlight.
If you enjoyed this video, click here to watch another exciting episode.